Welcome to Around the House, sponsored by Romac Building Supply. If you like today's video, please go to aroundthehouse.tv and sign up for our YouTube channel and our weekly newsletter. Now, in this segment of Around the House, we're going to discuss dangerous electrical products in your home. I don't know about you, I'm scared of electricity, and it even frightens me more when you find out that you may have a panel box that could set your house on fire. My guest today is Thomas Muller. He's the owner of Volthom Electric, and he's an expert when it comes to electricity, and he's going to set us straight on dangerous electrical appliances. Hello, Thomas. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Don. How are you?
We are so glad to have you, and I'm not scared to sit beside you, but we've got a lot to discuss. First, tell us about Thomas Muller and Volthom Electric.
I'm Thomas Muller with Volthom Electric. I am a state certified electrical contractor, master electrician. I have been at this game for 28 years now.
So you know what you're doing.
I would like to say I do.
If someone had a question about today's show, how can you be reached?
You can reach me at 352-789-2454, or you can email me at thomas@volthomelectric.com. And Volthom Electric is spelled V-O-L-T-H-O-M electric all the way.
Thomas, give me a little tutorial on electricity. I know I flip a switch on and it just turns on, but how does electricity go from the outside to the inside? What's the basic principles of household electricity?
Basic principles are is it comes in through your utility, which it can either come in overhead or underground. It'll go into the meter, out of the meter, into a disconnect, or straight into a panel, which is usually inside of the house.
Now these panels, one on the outside and inside, they sort of act as the red lights and govern the amount of electricity entering in through breakers. Is that correct?
That is true.
Isn't that where most of the problems occur?
So I would say probably 80%.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about ground fault breakers. You know, if you're like me, you curse ground fault breakers, but they're really very important. Explain to our folks what ground fault breakers and receptacles are all about.
Ground fault circuit interrupters, GFCIs as they're otherwise known, GFIs as some folks call them, they are there to protect you from getting shocked. They're usually around water sources, outside, garages, kitchens, bathrooms, and they've become an integral part of a home, and they work very well. Sometimes they do nuisance trip. A recommendation, if you have some tripping issues, contact us or another electrical contractor and have them come check it out. If a GFI is tripping, there's usually a problem.
Another thing that's new on the scene, in fact, part of the code I understand, are arc fault breakers, ARC, arc fault breakers. They're in the panel box. But those are pretty good because, first off, what's an arc?
An arc comes from, it's a flash.
A flash.
It's a sudden draw of the electricity that it just, you know, everybody's, I'm sure, have experienced plugging in a vacuum cleaner that's been turned on and it's arced. When an arc fault breaker activates is when it senses a load, a sudden load of 5 amps or more. And
I'm told arc fault breakers a lot of times will trip on older electrical motors in the house.
That is correct.
But that's the safety fixture. In other words, if you got a coffee pot that's about to catch on fire, it'll trip, won't it?
It is. That is the way it's supposed to work.
You do a lot of home inspections, you do commercial and residential electrical, but do a lot of home inspections and stuff. Why is it important when someone's buying an older home to have an electrician like yourself look at it?
In older homes, sometimes you don't know what's lurking. You don't know what the previous owner has done or other contractors or even handymen. If you're not experienced in the way things are supposed to be done, sometimes you'll make choices that may down the road affect things. And a home inspector, they just do a brief overview. They don't actually get into the nuts and bolts of things. They don't take things apart. They don't open things up.
Yeah.
Sometimes things are covered and they just don't know where to look.
but it's very important, especially with the older homes. And
Yes, sir.
and codes are changing, and for the good. We've got a lot to look at. You've brought a lot for us to see, so we're going to go to the Romac Building Supplies Show and Tell desk, and we're going to look at some dangerous electrical panels and get things that you need to be aware of. Stay tuned, because when we return, you're going to see some very interesting electrical issues. Welcome back to the Romac Building Supplies Show and Tell desk, and we're with Thomas Muller from Volthom Electric, and we've got a lot to see. Thomas, what do we have on that first panel?
This is what is called a Federal Pacific panel.
Uh-oh, that's a bad word.
Yes, sir. Federal Pacific underwent a lot of lawsuits because of these panels, and ultimately they became against National Electric Code, and the insurance institutes have made these panels a tremendous fire hazard, and if they find out they're in your home, you may not be able to get insurance.
Because the breakers just don't work.
Correct.
Okay.
The way a breaker works is it gets hot and it trips. These breakers have tremendous problems with that getting hot and tripping.
Now let me warn our viewers that please do not open the panel. We're about to show you some things inside the panel. Do not do this at home. Call a professional licensed electrician.
All right, now inside of these panels, what you can see where the problems are not visual. Inside of these breakers, there's springs and mechanisms and thermal overloads. So when they get hot, they're intended to trip. Well, in this case, what you can't see will hurt you. What you have here is a typical setup for these. They made the same setup whether it's weatherproof outdoors or indoors, usually in a garage. And in this case, the way it works is the way we were talking about earlier. Things come in through the top. This governs what these do.
The biggest thing, if you have a panel like this, you may want to call an electrician. Let's go to this next panel, Thomas.
All right.
See, there's no extra charge for the rust.
No, sir. Some of these panels get to be in bad shape.
Oh, I see. Now, what do we have here, Thomas?
This is what is called a split bus panel. And split bus is made by Cross and Hines. And the issue with this panel is it has no main breaker.
Oh, the breaker that was at the top.
Correct.
So this direct feeds from the main current.
Right. So
Wow.
what happens, what a main does, is a main ultimately limits these other breakers from overdoing what is supposed to protect it on the other side.
So, for example, if you have a big surge in the house, there's nothing to stop it to hitting these breakers.
That is correct.
Wow. And so if you have a panel box and you don't see this main up here, that's trouble.
That is true. Now, in some cases, they have what is called a main lug.
Okay.
And a main lug won't have a main. These particular ones usually ran from the meter directly into the panel.
While we're talking about this, a lot of discussion about aluminum wire versus
Yes, sir.
copper. A lot of people say they don't want to use aluminum. I've heard pros and cons. What say you about aluminum wire?
Aluminum wire is not a bad product, but it's not maintenance free as copper.
So you don't recommend it?
Well, we do install it from time to time where clients request it.
Okay.
It needs to be tightened every so often, more so than copper.
I heard of a situation in which some lugs got loose because of aluminum wire. So that's what's happened.
Yes, sir.
I guess it causes an arc and a fire maybe.
It can. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
What else on this panel?
Well, internally, what happens with
Okay.
these is you have what's behind these breakers, which is called a bus. It's a big rail
Yep.
that goes in behind here.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And
what
once again, please don't do this at your home.
Yes, please don't. And in here, what happens is these breakers on these contact points start to overheat
Okay.
and wear out, and they don't make contact, and they begin to arc inside of the panel. And eventually what it does is it burns the internal bus up and can create a fire.
So I've actually seen breakers like this with melt spots on it.
Yes, sir.
That's a bad sign.
That is a bad sign. The other sign is noise. When you hear that noise, it sounds like Rice Krispies.
Oh, wow, that's not a good sign.
Yes, if you hear Rice Krispies in your panel, that's a bad thing.
It's not a rat. All right, we've got one more box we want to look at. I guess it says Sylvania on the outside. I'll let you.
You want to hold that?
I've got it.
All right. Now this is made by a company called GE Sylvania.
Okay.
The problem with these is they've reached their lifespan. They're older than 30 years, every one of them. They also make another version of this made by the same company called Zinsko.
So that's the Zinsko breaker.
Yes.
Okay.
And these are pretty similar. The difference is the handle colors are a little different, but they have the same stacking conformity.
So how they stack right here it's your indicator. So if you have a stacking old panel like this, that's a bad panel. Now what happens? Why is this panel bad?
Well, same problem as the split bus before it. Is it starts to arc on what is called the bus.
Okay.
And these
and I don't see a main.
Well, this particular one. This is the main.
Okay.
This is a smaller panel. This is 100 ampere. And what happens with these is these clip on to the bus similarly to these, but in line. And what happens inside of here is these breakers start to expand and get to where they're bad, and they also start to arc on the bus. And the insurance companies have come out with lists, and they're the ones that are driving this, that are governing this.
So you really need to have it inspected, check with your insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got anything similar to this. Thomas, what someone should do if they think they've got a old panel or bad electrical products in their house, what do you recommend they do?
You can contact us at 352-789-2454. Or if you already are using a certain electrician, contact them. A lot of times with National Electric Code is not going to approach most of these and say that they need to be replaced. The ones that the drivers behind this are the insurance companies, the National Insurance Institutes. And when they go to an underwriter, which is when they are going to find that they're going to let you know, they'll give you a certain amount of days to say, this will need to be replaced in this amount of days.
Well, Thomas Muller, thank you for being our guest today. You've given us a lot of information, and I want to thank you for watching Around the House on Lake Sumter Television. Be sure to catch us on our YouTube channel, and also go to our website, aroundthehouse.tv, to sign up for our YouTube channel and our weekly newsletter. Plus, you can catch Around the House on our Daily Commercial and South Lake Press weekly column. Until next time, we will see you around the house.